Well, hello, this is Brian again. Well, again, just like the last clip, I ended coming up to this humongous Toyon, and I'm gonna have to take some time on this clip just to admire this. I haven't seen this guy in about 7 years. Just look at the canopy of this shrub. It's more like well, structurally it's a shrub, but it's basically the size of a small tree. Toyons can get to the size of small trees, but just always been fascinated with this one Toyon ever since the first time I came up and saw it. It's just, the perspective on this thing is ridiculous in a good way. But yeah. Yeah, this is a pretty big Toyon. Now, ever since I've done hikes in other spots, so this is, when I came up here, I was relatively new to hiking. Relatively new to it. I just started getting into hiking and just started really doing it. But to this day, this still remains one of the largest Heteromeles arbutifolias I have ever had the pleasure of crossing paths with. I notice there's a lot more undergrowth, a lot more stuff coming up from the root crown here. I don't remember it being quite as densely branched down here at the bottom. I remember these main trunks, but I mean, just look at the scope. This is normally a medium to somewhat large chaparral shrub. Yet we're in the middle of some semi-arid coastal sage scrub, mind you, on a fairly sun-exposed location, and yet we get this monster Toyon that just seems to outgrow everything here. I think you can see the mosses on the bark, the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful green, large green leaves. So there must be something with the root system getting way down in there, or there must be some kind of water source. This is just incredible. This is like one of the most incredible, beautiful Toyons I have ever seen in my life. And I stand by that. I stood by that in 2013 and 2014 when I first saw this, and I stand by it here in 2021. Just the architecture of this shrub is just magnificent. Absolutely stunning. And this area is stunning too. I mean, we're up here. I mean, obviously, people are here hiking it more now. I see dates from 2021. One from on Friday. So that kind of irks me that people are now tagging on this beautiful Toyon. That does irritate the heck out of me, because when I was up here, the first times I saw it, I don't remember seeing any graffiti on it. So that's just one thing that irritates me, is when people have to deface the plants and the shrubs and the trees. It just irritates me. But regardless of the little tagging marks on here, this remains to be one of the most beautiful specimens of a naturally and normally fantastically beautiful species. This just happens to be like on another level. Just love the architecture, and this is a cool place to hang out on a warm sunny day. I mean, today's I would say partly and mostly cloudy. It's not hot, but under here it's nice and really cool. So I really like this area because of this guy. This is the primary reason I love coming up here, and it's just nice to see it after so many years. It actually even looks better than it did. I mean, it always looked healthy ever since I first saw it, but it just still looks really good. Just need a moment of silence for this beautiful plant. Now, just needed a moment just to absorb the beautiful aura that this shrub gives off. Now, with this Toyon, just amazes me how luscious it is. This is a beautiful shrub. I mean, actually, it kind of walks the line between shrub and tree. There are a lot of plants that'll do that. But I'm just always been amazed at how incredibly luscious this plant has looked over the years. Yeah, I will be returning back to this area again. But let's see how far I can go before the next overgrowth of poison oak starts taking over. Because sometimes, depending on how much has been done over here, you can actually hike along here, along there. I've been able to hike all the way to the ridge line where it meets the old fire road, or the big double track. There's my buddy right there. Look at that. What a magnificent Toyon. That's why I really was determined to attempt to climb up this. I didn't know what the trail conditions would be after so many years, but apparently they're at least as followable as they've ever been. And yeah, but I'm not going to go that much further, and I'll show you exactly why. Some other interesting looking plants around here. Some plants I don't recognize. But I do remember that there was a particular stretch, and we're just about there right now. It's right here. Right here. It would be too much of a squeeze. The poison oak grows very, very much on the trail. And I do not feel like getting in it. Yeah, I know my clothes would brush up against it very easily. So, like I said, I knew there'd be a certain point where I would have to really look out even more. But here it is, yeah, poison oak is all up in this piece. And I don't feel like brushing up against it in any bit. But at least I was able to get up to my Toyon. It's just fantastic. You gotta admit, this is a beautiful ridgeline here. Here, look at this. Here's a luscious, a single trunk to hollyleaf redberry. I see them a lot like that, actually. I've seen a lot of hollyleaf redberries that are single trunked. And these are supposed to be shrubs, not trees, but they take on the architecture. See, that huge Toyon has more of the architecture of a large shrub, whereas this shrub right here takes on the architecture of a miniature tree with a single trunk. I've seen quite a few hollyleaf redberries that actually take on a single trunk, which is pretty interesting. And there's another one. Primarily single trunk specimen. A lot of them around here are, which is pretty neat. But I just had to take you up here. I said that one patch right there is too closely knit for me to feel comfortable going through it. I don't feel like getting, I mean, I don't be worried about getting a rash, but I don't want to get it on my clothes. So that's one thing that always limits my hikes at the lower elevations is poison oak. I am not a fan of brushing up on it. Again, here we are. Heteromeles arbutifolia. Fantastic, beautiful specimen right here. One of the most incredible specimens of Toyon ever. Now, I've seen what looks like potentially an even larger Toyon in Silverado Canyon, along the bottom of Silverado Canyon, along the paved portion of Maple Springs Truck Trail. but I was hiking in the dark. To start my day, because that was the morning I hiked all the way from Maple Springs Visitor Center all the way up to Santiago Peak and Majeska Peaks. And so I started my hike in the dark. It was January, so I started my hike when it's pitch black out. And then I caught an image as you're hiking up on my left side, a little ways into the trail, a little bit ways, but it was still on the straight paved portion of it. So it was before I really started gaining elevation. There was what looked like an even larger Toyon than this, possibly. So next time I'm gonna have to check that area out in the daylight, because normally I hike up it in the dark. I'm returning in the dark because the hike takes that long, especially for me. Plus, it's over a 20-mile hike if you do Santiago and Majeska Peaks. But it appears to be an even larger, possibly a larger specimen of Toyon over there. So if I ever get to there in the daylight, I'm gonna have to give you some footage on that. But basically, I'm just gonna start returning the way I came. Just gonna enjoy a leisurely descent back down until it gets real steep, and then I'm gonna be literally crawling. To be expected, I guess. But thanks for watching thus far. Might get into another clip or two somewhere down in the canyon. But I just wanted to take you up at least to this Toyon here that's just fantastically beautiful. This is the reason why I love coming up here, is because everything else here is fantastic, but that Toyon just takes it to a whole nother level. So I'll see you on my next clip. It'll probably be back down in Powder Canyon, down in the lower portions of it. We're right now here. We're about 1,100 feet above sea level here. So I'll probably see you down the way. And thanks for watching thus far, and we'll see what goes on in the next clip.